Good evening and welcome to this candidate forum for the West Valley Mission Community College Board of Trustees. We have a total of 4 candidates running for the 2 open seats. My name is Frances Son, Vice President of the League of Women Voters Southwest Santa Clara Valley, which covers the cities of Los Gatos, Saratoga, Monte Sereno, Campbell, and a segment of West San Jose. West Valley Mission College elects their trustees by area seats. Area 5 has 2 candidates, Marilyn Bernald and Diane Lamkin, running for 1 open seat, which is for a short term of 2 years. Area 6 has 2 candidates, Adrienne Gray and Rebecca Wong, running for 1 open seat, which is for a full term of 4 years. Tonight, we have all 4 candidates present. I would like to acknowledge our voter service team who organized tonight's forum. Our team members are Amy Cody, Meg Jiberson, Linda King, Tom Pickrow, Priya Shastri, Patty Tennant, Amy Vu, Eleanor Yick, and myself. Next slide. And before we begin, I just wanted to share some information about the League of Women Voters. The League has been empowering and defending democracy for over 100 years. The League has 2 separate and distinct roles: voter service and public education, which we're doing tonight, and also action and advocacy on public policy issues where we have studied and adopted a position. The League is a nonpartisan political organization. The League never supports or opposes any political party or candidate. Next slide, please. Other than candidate forums, the League's voter service program also includes pros and cons on ballot measures, which you can find on our website, voter registration events, and participation in Vote 411, which is a one-stop information site for all things about the election. Please note this forum is being recorded and will be posted in full, unedited, on our local League's website and YouTube channel. The League of Women Voters is a national grassroots organization. When you join our local league, you automatically become a member of all levels, including the state and national leagues. And now I would like to introduce Eleanor Yick, our Voter Services Director, who will be the moderator for tonight's forum.
Thank you. And could we have slide 6, please? Thank you, Frances, and good evening, everyone. Before we begin the actual forum, I do want to highlight for you a couple of things about this upcoming election. This slide shows you many of the ballot measures that will be on your personal ballot. We have, of course, candidates for the U.S. President, congressional offices, California Senate, California Assembly. We have the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, Santa Clara County Superior Court, Santa Clara County Board of Education, some local town and city councils, some local school boards, and there are 5 local measures in our league area: the City of Campbell, the Campbell Union High School District, the Campbell City Council, the Union School District, and the Los Gatos School District. Next slide, please. This slide tells you some basic facts about the upcoming election. The ballots will be mailed to you starting next week on October 7th. You can return your ballot in one of 3 ways. You can use the U.S. mail, you can drop it into a secure drop box, or you can go to a vote center. Mailed ballots must be postmarked before or on November 5th, 2024. This next fact is extremely important. Be sure to check the way your name is on the ballot envelope you receive. You need to sign your name exactly in the same way on your return envelope. If you want more information about your ballot, you can track it. You can check your registration status at the Santa Clara County Vote.org or Where's My Ballot, Secretary of State, California Government. Next slide, please. I would also like to highlight for you some ground rules that the candidates have agreed to observe during this forum. The League supports the accepted norms of civil discourse, and in that light, the candidates have agreed to follow those norms that were outlined in a document they received. For example, the candidates have agreed not to interrupt each other and to refrain from naming or making personal statements about another candidate. If any candidate fails to follow the League guidelines, they may be asked to leave the forum. Candidates have also agreed to follow the allotted response times. Candidates are reminded that they don't have to use the full time allotment, but they are requested not to exceed the allotted time. And now, on to the forum. I am pleased to welcome and introduce the 4 candidates who are running for 2 open seats on the West Valley Mission Community College Board of Trustees. Candidates, please put your video on when I call your name. We will begin with the 2 candidates for seat 5. Mary Lynn Bernald. Welcome, Mary Lynn.
Hello.
And Diane Lemkin. Hello, Diane. And now I would like to introduce the 2 candidates who are running for seat 6, which is a full term. Adrian Gray. Good evening. And Rebecca Wong. Good evening, Rebecca. Candidates, we so appreciate your willingness to participate in this virtual candidate forum tonight. During tonight's forum, when the candidates are answering questions, a timer will appear on a separate screen. Priya, would you show the audience and candidates that timer now? Please note how the color around the timer changes as it nears the allotted time for that question. Candidates are requested to end their sentence once the stop sign is shown. This forum is scheduled to last approximately 1 hour. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to introduce herself by specifically answering this question in their opening statement. What specifically qualifies you to serve on the Board of Trustees for the West Valley Mission Community College? The candidates will make their opening statements in alphabetical order by seat. I am going to try to keep the candidates for each seat together, following each other when answering questions so that our audience can see the candidates that they're going to be voting on. After opening statements, candidates will have 60 seconds for subsequent questions. These questions have been submitted through the registration process, obtained from social media sites, and/or developed by League members. I, as the moderator, will announce and enforce the time limits for each question. And lastly, the forum will close with candidates speaking in a reverse order from the opening statement, answering this question. What question do you wish you had been asked tonight? Why? And how would you have responded? Candidates will have 90 seconds to respond to that. And now let's begin. Candidates, please answer this question as your opening statement. What specifically qualifies you to serve on the West Valley Mission Community College Board of Trustees? Candidates will have 90 seconds to respond. We will begin with seat 5. Candidate Bernald.
Good evening. I'm a 46-year resident of Saratoga, the appointed incumbent for Area 5, committed to strengthening educational and civic partnerships in the same way I did as mayor of Saratoga. My years of financial, analytical, team building, and advocational experience on the council and in the community qualify me for the role of trustee.
Thank you, Mary Lynn. And now candidate Lampkin.
Thank you for having me. My name is Diane Lampkin, and I've lived in West San Jose and Campbell since 1982. I raised my children here, and they went to the schools in both areas. But my main qualification, I believe, is I've been a teacher, a member of the college community, at either a private college or at Mission College for over 40 years. I started my teaching career at Palmer College of Chiropractic, and then I moved over to Mission College. At both places, I started as an adjunct instructor. So I have experience as an adjunct or part-time instructor, and then I was hired full-time. So I've also served as, especially at Mission College, on numerous committees, including hiring committees, where I could see where the challenges it takes to hire outstanding faculty. And also because I worked in the sciences, I was on hiring committees for lab technicians. So I can see what it takes, the kind of recruitment problems that sometimes happen, and just inviting people to live in our area. I also served on the executive board of the faculty union, and I've attended many board of trustee meetings, so I'm familiar with their procedures.
Thank you very much. And now we will move on to the two candidates for seat 6, and we will begin with candidate Gray.
Hello, everyone. I'm Adrienne Gray. I guess what qualifies me most is that I've been serving for 15 years. I was elected initially in 2008. I can tell you that there is a learning curve to being a trustee and understanding all the issues that the district faces. And I'm well into that. So I was elected in 2008. I've served at the local level all that time. And of course, I'm very familiar with the district and the board and its procedures. I've been board president in 2012, 2016, 17, and 2023. So I've been in the leadership role, and I've been on multiple subcommittees as well throughout the time. Currently, I'm the chair of the Legislative and Policy Oversight Committee. And then I've also been involved statewide. I was elected to the CCCT, which is the Community College League of California's trustee board. And I was on there since 2014, and I was president in 2020, which was a very interesting year for community colleges during the pandemic. So I'm very familiar with community colleges, both statewide and locally, and I enjoy serving students so much.
Thank you. And candidate Rebecca Wong.
Good evening, everyone. I've been a lifelong educator in the area. I started my career in East San Jose teaching at Independence High School. And I've spent over 25 years serving in community colleges, specifically at West Valley College as an instructor. But I've not only had experience in the classroom, I've also had experience in leadership roles as well. I've been a department chair. I was chair of the Science and Math Division, overseeing a budget of almost $1 million and a faculty of probably about 30-something faculty. I've also ran their Title III grant, which was a multi-million-dollar federal grant designed to increase student access to the college through online opportunities and to strengthen our distance learning program as well. In addition to my local service in classroom and leadership, I've also served at the state level. I helped to found a leadership training program for the California Community College System called Leading from the Middle, where we worked with middle leaders from well over 50% of the colleges, community colleges in the state. And so I feel that my demonstrated commitment to the students and workers in the West Valley Mission Community College District and my experience in leadership as well make me a strong candidate for this position.
Thank you very much. And now we will move on, candidates, to the questions that were submitted through the registration process or developed by the League. Candidates will now have 60 seconds to answer each question. And we'll begin with Ms. Gray. The question is, community colleges across the state are experiencing significant drops in enrollment. What can be done to address this issue?
We have definitely taken that on. Our enrollment was already starting to decline before the pandemic, and we started then becoming even more concerned during the pandemic when we saw fairly significant drop off of enrollment. And so we put together we asked our chancellor to put together a team to study the enrollment issue and how and where we should seek for new students, because we can no longer wait for high school graduates to just sort of show up at our colleges. We have to go out and recruit people in the various ways and parts of their career life cycle and so on. So we are doing outreach at the high school and even down in the middle school level in order to capture the younger children. And we are also outreaching to older adults, seniors, people in the workplace that want to retool their careers. And we've seen our numbers go up. So we are back on track.
Thank you. And Ms. Wong?
I would definitely agree with what Trustee Gray had to say. We do need to improve our outreach to various populations, and we can't just simply depend on high school graduates for our primary enrollment. So we do need to strengthen our dual enrollment program. It's a dual enrollment is a program where we actually teach college classes at the high school so that high school students can get a step up on their college credits while they're in high school. We do need to start looking into stronger retraining programs. I think we can't help but open the newspaper and see about layoffs going on in high tech right now. And so being nimble in terms of being able to provide retraining programs for people that need to upgrade their skills, for example, to add on a certificate in data science or something that makes them more employable. And certainly to reach out to our older adult community to bring the community back to community colleges.
Thank you very much. Ms. Bernald?
Thank you. We have had, as Adrian indicated, a pathway for success. And most recently here in West Valley, and to some extent at Mission, we've begun a senior guided pathway, which also is in a pilot program session for shortened courses designed to give you the skills you need today, that offers free tuition, free transportation, and free functional support. We actually did succeed and exceed the enrollment numbers that we had hoped for both colleges. So it's ideal to know that whether you're a part-time student, balancing work and school, a parent returning, a high school student who as Rebecca said, is enrolling in winter or summer sessions to accelerate the education. We are reaching out to all those bodies and making sure that they are included.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now Ms. Lampkin.
What I can see is all the years that I've been at the community colleges, how the economy drives enrollment, right? And when the economy goes down, enrollment goes up. And when the economy goes up, people get jobs and they don't come to college. But, so we have to be aware of that. We have to be responsive to what is going on in the community. I think most of the young people that come to the community college are looking for a job training so that they can support their families, which is really hard in this area. We need to keep in mind that there are older students that can really contribute. And, I know that older students really give the younger students in the same classroom a lot of information and a lot of encouragement and a lot of experience. So I hope we can continue to do that at the community college.
Thank you very much. Our next question, and we're going to begin with you, Ms. Lampkin. The next question is, what do you think are the most pressing issues besides enrollment that the district is facing, and how do you think these issues should or could be addressed?
Well, I think that the most pressing issue is the cost of living in this area, for housing, for food, for transportation, for everything. And we need to be able to help our students as much as possible with not only free tuition, but also with support for childcare. Having paid for childcare myself, I know it's a big deal. And also for housing, if there's a way that we can help support them with their housing needs. And then not to be forgotten is healthcare. And we need to provide an access to healthcare And, you know, we have these healthcare nursing centers on campus, but we need to make them more robust so that they can help the students and their families even more.
Thank you. Ms. Bernald?
Thank you. In addition to the fact that Diane brought up, we have a lot of students who are food and housing insecure. So we need to be meeting that. We are supplying the free parking, free bus passes, free childcare, which costs $1 million a year, and free health care. Anyway, with the health care, we have even supplied health test strips, free food at the campus, at the marketplaces, Wi-Fi, smallest class size, and food vouchers, which are helping the students succeed and keep them in retention. And retention is a big point that we do need to deal with as a challenge.
Thank you. And let me say, since we do have 4 candidates, by the time we get to number 3 or 4 in the cycle, you may have forgotten the question actually, so I'm happy to repeat it if you want me to do that. So just let me know. So we'll go on now with Ms. Wong.
I think a lot of the pressing issues have been already brought up by the candidates from Area 5. What I would add to that is when I talk to my colleagues, especially those in student services at the campuses, one of the things that's not talked about enough, I think, is the effect of pandemic on the mental health of students. Just this crop that we're seeing, and you know, right now I'm teaching in a doctoral program at University of San Francisco, and we're seeing it there at all levels of education. I think we have underestimated the effect of the pandemic. And so I think we need to have resources available to provide for the mental health issues of our students. And I'll just speak specifically about something that I, as a faculty member, I would know about. I think there needs to be better communication in the district between the board and the people that work in the district. There's a feeling that that communication has broken down, and I think that that needs to be addressed.
Thank you. And Ms. Gray.
So the many challenges that have been mentioned are absolutely a concern. The board has taken very direct and bold action to try and remediate those challenges for students. So we, earlier this year, actually late last year, we allowed free parking, free health services for students, including mental health services. We have counselors on board, and we do understand the need for counseling, especially around and after the pandemic. Childcare is the newest one. Well, the newest until now. The other thing is free tuition. We've been doing it in a very complicated manner till recently. We just today had our press conference, so look for that online if you can find it. AB 3158 was passed, and that permits us to waive tuition for every student that lives in our service area. So that's going to drive enrollment, and that's going to reduce barriers for students.
Thank you so much. Our next question, and we're going to begin with Ms. Wong, is what would you do to more effectively serve the needs of various types of students? For example, different ages, different ethnicities, veterans, seniors, etc. Ms. Wong?
I am a big proponent of cohort programs, programs where students with common interests and common backgrounds are grouped together with specialized counselors and specialized classes that they can explore their common interests in. So for example, West Valley has had a very robust veterans center where the veterans have a place to congregate, connect, a specialized counselor assigned to them. And I think we just need to keep growing cohort programs. Students, people in general, but especially students, are looking for connection. They're looking for family. They're looking for a place a home base. If they have that strong home base, then they are much more likely to be successful. And so as much as possible to establish cohort programs for the variety of students that come to us to better meet their needs with specialized counselors assigned to that cohort, I think that goes a long way for building student success, in my experience.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Gray?
I totally agree with the cohort programs, and we do have multiple ones. The MESA program reaches out to math and science interested students. We have Puente, we have Umoja for Black students. We have resource centers for different student groups. There's a center for Latinx students. There's a center for LGBTQ students. There's a center for a Black Lives Matter center for Black students, so that they can have a place where they can, sort of share their feelings among the folks that have the same kinds of feelings. And we assign faculty mentors to each of those areas. One thing that we'd like to reach out to is our students that are unhoused or have insecure housing. We very much want to build housing on our campus, and we've had plans in place to do that. The state pulled back some money, but we're going to continue trying.
Thank you so much. And now Ms. Lampkin.
So I was thinking that there's a lot to be had with the students that really need more direction. I think that it's a communication thing, that there are a lot of services out there, but a lot of students don't know about them. And I think that that's one of the processes that we could accelerate if we made counseling more easily available for the students, and the counselors could kind of point them in the right direction and say, this group would be good for you, or this, you might like these people's point of view, you might benefit from this program. Because I think that there are a lot of things out there, but the students just don't know about it. And I think we need better communication.
Thank you. And Ms. Bernald?
Thank you. I'm going to ask you to restate the question because I want to make sure I direct it.
Yes. What would you do to more effectively serve the needs of various types of students, for example, different ages, ethnicities, veterans, and so on?
Thank you. As has been mentioned, there are resource centers, there are multi-layer counselors available, and what is wonderful is from the all-college day, from registration, they are out there tabling, introducing themselves to the students, offering the services that they do have. In addition to that, we have started, at least at West Valley, and to a small extent, a little bit of SASE pathways, which is going to be introducing smaller classes to people that can relate to wanting to return to the workforce and doing better, or actually taking programs if you're volunteering for like Excel, or for people that want more social interactions. There's even an astronomy class. So the counseling to get the students through, and the counseling, the opportunities to take classes on campus with programs that will enlighten your life.
Thank you. And our next question, we're going to begin with you, Ms. Bernal, this time. So the question is, what specific strategies do you propose to enhance community engagement within the college?
Can I have you clarify engagement within the college, among students,
well,
among
the community
teachers?
Engaged, that connection between the school and the local community? What would you specifically propose that might enhance that relationship? And again, that covers it, enhance the relationship between the two. Okay,
thank you for that question. For having served on the city council for 8 years and as mayor, we had an opportunity until COVID to actually, on the city council, go back and forth between the campus of West Valley and the campus of the city offices, where we would have a dinner once a year with the trustees and talk about these kinds of things that would enhance the community. And work together. We as a city were really hoping and not quite understanding what had happened as to why we couldn't get housing at West Valley. But it was one of the topics that we actually discussed. There were other topics about coordinating different activities so that we all would bring together community in force, not just be two separate. And I believe those same dinners, those same experiences go on with the other cities in the area.
Thank you. Ms. Lampkin?
Well, I think, the communities are very diverse. If you look at all the way from Mission College down to West Valley, which is in Saratoga, Mission College is right off of the 101 freeway, right up there near Levi Stadium. So it's so interesting to see what the different community is like around the areas. And I know that one of the things that Mission College has done is they have a summer concert series where people from the community come. And I know I've invited some of my friends there. That was really nice. We have the food trucks. We have and all this is the concerts are free. I think we need to reach out to the community and see what they want to offer our students too. And it's got to be a give and take with both us and the community. So I'm interested in that.
Thank you. Ms. Gray?
We have a fair amount of connection with the community. Of course, the board isn't always the only connection. I mean, we have lots of people in administration and in the classroom that have connections with the middle schools and high schools in the service area, and they are in regular contact with those folks. And there are activities that serve the students that might be prospective students for West Valley or Mission College. Yes, we have the wonderful free concert series at Mission College. West Valley College has just this year been celebrating their 60th anniversary, and we have had a number of activities, and we've had many folks in the community come and join us. We've had building openings because we have still a major building openings happening from our Measure W bond. And when that happens, we bring in the community and they can enjoy the new facilities that we've erected for students and for the community.
Thank you. And Ms. Wong?
I think one really effective way of building community is to engage in communal experiences. And so I'd love to see more activities planned where we invite the community in. So for example, stargazing parties. We have an amazing planetarium. We actually have 2 planetariums at West Valley. But to set out the telescopes on a night where the community can come, especially when there's something exciting going on, like a harvest moon or something like that, for the Moon Festival, it could actually be, combine astronomy and cultural celebrations with the October Moon Festivals that the Asian communities celebrate. So just all the opportunities to bring the community onto campus and to see the things we do. For example, our biology department has a wonderful natural plant garden. So doing more communal gardening activities, things like that. So communal experiences to bring the community on campus.
Thank you so much. Our next question, we're going to begin with Ms. Gray. And the question is the system for student transfer to 4-year universities such as UC colleges after completion of 2 years at West Valley working as well as it should? And if not, what do you think needs to be improved? Ms. Gray?
One of the things that needs to be improved is we have to make it more possible for students to attend full-time so they can gather enough credits so that they can be through and have their A through G requirements, which are the UC and CSU requirements in order to continue to a 4-year school. They need to have those completed. We have a lot of folks that are balancing the cost of living here and the cost of going to school. So if they can only go part-time, they can't complete in 2 years. So we try to make it possible through all of these free supports and of course the free tuition that is going to be expanding to allow students to go full-time. Then the next thing is there are kind of complicated negotiations with the UCs and CSUs as far as articulating classes that they will accept. And there's a whole group of the CSU, UC, and community college statewide group trying to untangle that problem.
Thank you. Ms. Wong?
In my experience, the curriculum issues have pretty much been worked out. Community colleges just essentially do whatever CSU and UC tell us to do. So if they tell us these are the courses that articulate, they will. But I think one of the things that the colleges need to do, which they aren't currently doing, that would facilitate transfer, is making sure that the classes that students need to transfer are available to them. For example, this semester, both colleges canceled completely fully enrolled English 1A classes. Now that's a class that's required for transfer. And the reason that they were canceled was because they could not find instructors for those courses. The departments had asked for permission to hire a one-time temporary full-time hire, and they were told they couldn't do it. Since they couldn't do it, they couldn't find enough part-time people who wanted to teach those courses. And also because some classes fell right below the cutoff, they were canceled, even though they were required for transfer. We can't do that.
Thank you. And Ms. Bernald?
I have a wonderful story that I would like to share of a successful student, very serious, very capable. She actually determined that she did not want to be in debt. And so she came to West Valley College and graduated within 2 years and applied to Boston University, was accepted on a full scholarship, and all of her credits transferred. So there are success stories, and we have more than an 80% acceptance rate, even though at the UCs and CUs. Sorry, that was a Colorado reference, which I didn't happen to mention to you guys. I graduated from the University of Colorado. Anyway, there are success stories out there. And as Adrian has pointed out, we do have to look to getting the students to be able to complete the classes. And yes, it is problematic hiring teachers these days because of the cost of living in our area, but there still are success stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lampkin?
So, yeah, I think that there are success stories. I think we just need more of them. And I think one of the things that, I agree with what everyone else has said, but I think that there has been a lack of follow-up on the part of the community college to see how our students do when they transfer, and what we could have done better to make their transfer experience more successful. We do have, attempts to, sort of an individual basis on faculty to try and keep track of what happens to their students. But I know in the sciences, it can be really difficult because a lot of students come to the community college unprepared for the science classes they need as freshmen and sophomores. And so they can't graduate in 2 years because they need to take, say, remedial classes. So that needs to be considered too.
Thank you. Our next question is going to begin with you, Ms. Lampkin. And I know you've mentioned the new bill that's been passed about free tuition, but taking that into consideration, I think we all agree there are other costs related to going to school. So what steps will you take to ensure that West Valley Mission Community College remains financially accessible to all students?
Well, I hope that we can use our robust reserves to start spending some of that money to help alleviate some of the problems that the faculty have with healthcare, especially the adjunct faculty, covering their healthcare, for increasing the support for childcare for our students, not making it difficult because maybe they're not full-time students, maybe they're only part-time. We need to consider those students as well. I think that, food security, housing security, all those, if we could build campus housing, that would be great. And I know that they just did that at Napa, I think. Yeah, so that's recently I heard that in the news and I thought that's great. Yeah, so our students could really benefit from that.
Thank you. Ms. Bernald?
Please state the question again.
What steps will you take to ensure that West Valley Mission Community College students remain, or the college remains financially accessible to all students?
I think we discussed this earlier for the Success for Students. We are providing, we're meeting them where they are is a big thing we hear these days, that we do need to understand what they bring to the campus and how to address it. And financially, it's huge. So they can't succeed if they are food or housing insecure. So we need to continue to do food vouchers. We need to do the financial aid. And recently we have gotten a common application where it reduces numerous applications. So we're streamlining as best we can. We've mentioned 3158, free tuition, the free parking, free transportation vouchers. It's huge. Childcare, $1 million a year we spend. Healthcare, essential for these students at this time. And the hotspots for Wi-Fi, small class size. That is really important so that they can succeed.
Thank you. Ms. Wong?
All of the things that have been mentioned are really important and vital for students. One thing that I think that we could explore that we haven't is book grants and materials grants for students. The district has a tremendous surplus. And what they've been urging faculty to do for the past 5-6 years is to go textbook free textbook, so that you have essentially a book that's been crowdsourced. You know, as a parent of 2 children who went to college, I would have been appalled if they came home and said, I don't have to buy any books this semester. I think it's important as a college experience to learn out of books. And so we could make books free, high quality books free for students by giving them book loans and book vouchers. We already have many of their textbooks on loan in the library that they can check out for the semester, but we could also increase that. We could give them grants for books. We could give them grants for their lab fees. We could do more in the materials area, I think.
Thank you. And Ms. Gray?
I am going to speak up for zero-cost textbooks, and that's actually been a movement throughout the state of California and nationally in order to convert from basically funding the big publishers that publish these textbooks that are very expensive. They sometimes are $100 or $200 for especially STEM science textbooks. Rather than that money going to them, we would rather spare the students that expense. And it is possible to produce very high quality materials that are zero cost. Zero textbook cost is an important movement that we are embracing. The other thing, many other costs of life. I mean, we have a clothing closet that provides free clothing for students, especially if they want to dress up for an interview. We have so many supports, and we want to think of every single possible barrier that we can remove.
Thank you. Our next question, and we're going to begin with you, Ms. Wong. What are your ideas on addressing the mental health of students and employees?
I think access to free mental health services is absolutely vital. There was an intern program at West Valley that provides mental health services for students, but I think that needs to be expanded as much as possible. And also, you know, to consider providing online. I know faculty have and staff have access to online mental health services, some restricted ones, but just amping up all we can do. Also, considering whether support groups would be helpful for students. Just anything and everything we can do to support their mental health is very important, especially at this time. And to talk about, you know, the effect of the pandemic and how people are dealing with that stress.
Thank you very much. Ms. Gray?
Yes, we do have mental health services, and we have easy ways for students to indicate that they're in need of mental health services, and on a drop-in basis or an appointment basis. Our wonderful director of health services for both campuses, Yuko Kawasaki, has made sure that program is available. Another thing is we have used technology in order to make counseling much more available. So now we can have in-person counseling and online counseling. We have chat bots that can engage with students at any time of day. That's an expense to the district in order to make that available. And we have our Basic Needs Center and our counselors reaching out. We have embedded counselors in the different schools at the campuses. And then we also have them going to the classroom and making sure that the students in each classroom understand what services are available. So we try to keep the communication flowing.
Thank you. Ms. Lampkin?
Yeah, I think that's really important because they need to know that those services are out there. Um, I think mental health, my area of study when I was in graduate school was neuroscience. And, to me, the brain is just so incredibly complicated. I mean, we can see what's happening in the country about the different views on mental health and whether we can do anything about mental health. It's not easy. So we have to, I think, give students some point person, like a counselor, somebody that they can at least, start the process and who can point them in the right direction and maybe act as, an initial evaluator to find out what would benefit that student the most and what direction they can point them and help. It's very complicated.
Thank you. And Ms. Bernald?
Thank you. I can't do any better than the answer that you got from Adrian Gray, except to give you an example of something that happened recently for me at a very large meeting of a lot of people. I think it was college day, and I was on campus, and I have a friend who is a part-time faculty member whose family had just gone through devastating loss. And I knew he was struggling. And I was talking to one of the counselors, and I said, what kind of program do we have here for a person like this? And she took me by my hand and took me directly to the director. And the director said, tell me what's going on. And I don't know that we have the services here for him as an adult. But at this point, I will get everybody involved that I can find so I can refer an individual for him. I think that is not a unique situation. And certainly with the crisis that we have in the schools these days, we definitely need to be proactive. And by having the consultants counselors in class.
Thank you.
It's right there.
My next question, and we'll begin with you, Ms. Bernald. If elected, how will you work with faculty and staff to encourage a culture of excellence?
Thank you again for the question. I have worked over the years in many bodies, the Planning Commission, City Council. I have worked actually training on advocacy for collaboration in the community. I was the West Coast Area 6 policy liaison, public policy liaison, and I taught classes on collaborating in the community. So I almost feel like it's in my blood. I am a huge proponent for team building. I am a huge proponent for listening, and I believe that it is essential to be active, not just in the school community, but out in the larger community. And I don't need to get to specifics in this time, but it's there. I have been living it for 20 years easily in action, and would love to continue that, because we are nothing if we are not a part of the community and with each other, supporting each other, because we are all in this together to have success for our students.
Thank you. Ms. Lampkin?
So when I think of a culture of excellence, I think of just lifelong learning. I think that the faculty and staff and administrators, along with the students, but not only the students, but the rest of the people that are on our campuses need to be encouraged to grow, to continue learning, taking classes, to participate in professional organizations in their areas and be provided, if they need, some sort of financial support so they can attend a conference. That sort of thing is really engaging. It's really, invigorating I remember, to me as a faculty member, that was great. And it made me want to do better. It made me want to do more. So we can support those kinds of things.
Thank you. Ms. Gray?
I feel like we have a very engaged faculty and classified and administrators all working hard to improve their ability to be better and better. So we provide professional development opportunities for all of those groups. And we very much encourage, as well as for the students, by the way. I've been taking students to the Community College League of California conferences so that they can involve and actually learn to lobby the legislators. Other things that are happening are, we just had a presentation on the wonderful communities of practice that are going on both campuses, where the faculty is doing deep dives into teaching each other how to be more inclusive and of diversity in the classrooms, how to have more culturally responsive curriculum. It means each faculty changing their curriculum to reach out to the various types of students that we serve.
Thank you. And Ms. Wong?
I think what helps people excel and buy into and promote a culture of excellence is when they feel that they are a valued member of the community. And so I think as much as possible, from students, staff, faculty, administrators, to keep open channels of communication so that each and every person who's part of the community feels that they're valued, feels that they're listened to, feels that the mission of the college is to help meet their needs and help them meet their goals. And as much as possible, whatever means we can do to make everyone in the community feel like a valued member, if that's possible, then everyone works towards a common goal, and that common goal is shared excellence. That's how I would see it.
Thank you. And now we're going to move on to the last audience question before the closing statements. So this last question, and we'll begin with you, Ms. Gray, is, and some of you have alluded to this in some of your answers already, and that's fine to repeat it or expand upon it. Beyond the community colleges, in what ways have you served or been engaged in the external community within our service area?
I've been a member of the Santa Clara County Democratic Central Committee for quite a while, since about 2005. And so I've participated in a great deal of voter registration. For instance, I was the director of voter registration and community outreach for a time on the county party. And so I started out in my own neighborhood in the wonderful, wonderful farmers market that's down the street from me, and have been now for a couple of years at every fair and festival that there was in order to register voters, because just as the League of Women Voters knows, that's one of the most important ways that we can participate in this democracy. And I've been a member of my local Rotary group. I'm a Rotarian, and I keep contact. We just had a group from Friends of Children with Special Needs, which are disabled children, come to West Valley College to see the planetarium, and they got their first planetarium show. So it was wonderful.
Thank you. Ms. Wong?
I've tried to be an active member of my community my whole life. I serve on the East Side Educational Foundation, which I know is not directly in our service area, but we definitely serve students from the East Side. So we spend every year raising scholarship money for students in the East Side Promise to help them with their studies as they transfer to San Jose State and matriculate through San Jose State. In addition, I'm a new member of the League of Women Voters, so I've had an opportunity several times to help register new voters, the most exciting of which was at the citizenship swearing-in ceremonies would have just started again in Campbell. What a wonderful opportunity to meet new citizens. We're so excited to register to vote. So that's been great. And for over 20 years, I've volunteered at the same retirement community in our district. Every week, I actually run their weekly poker game. So I've done that since 2006. And so I am active in this local community.
Thank you so much. Ms. Bernald?
Thank you. From the time that I settled here in Saratoga after moving every 2 years of my life as an Army brat, I felt that it was absolutely essential for me to give back to my community. So starting very young, I was with my kids very young. I started volunteering on executive school board, coaching soccer, being a den mother, then moving on to the Butter Paddle, which raises money for what used to be Eastfield Ming Kwang for children in problem situations. I also worked for 3 years for senior adults legal assistance as a paralegal helping seniors. I also then got involved with the Planning Commission and worked there over a period of 18 years for 10, getting to know the community and trying to keep it built in a smart way. And then, of course, the 8 years on the city council and working with communities throughout for whatever kind of projects we were going for at the time.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Lampkin?
So it's hard not to get involved in the community when you have children in the schools. I was on the board of AYSO, that's a soccer organization. I was an assistant ref. I volunteered at Kaiser Hospital. I've also been involved in Campbell Adult Community Ed. I participate in that. I'm like the treasurer of our homeowners association. That's like, volunteer. That's a whole nother ball of wax. That's very interesting. So, it's really been fun to try and get to know my neighbors and get to, I figure that, being raised a California kid, you need to know all your neighbors in case there's an earthquake because, you got to find where everybody went. So.
Thank you very much. So that ends our audience questions, and I will now move on to what we're labeling your closing statement, but we really want you to respond to this question, which is an opportunity for you to really highlight something about yourself or about the community college system that didn't come up in our questions tonight. So what question do you wish you had been asked tonight? Why? And how would you have responded? And you have 90 seconds to respond. And we're going to begin with Ms. Wong.
When I thought about, a question that you could have asked, I feel like your questions were quite comprehensive. And so when I think about, why I'm doing this, why I'm running, I think one question that might have been asked is, what do you hope your legacy is in your contributions to the West Valley Mission Community College District? When I think about that personally, I've spent many years as an instructor. I spent many years in leadership roles at the college. But when I think about what do I hope my legacy is in terms of service, I'm hoping that I'm remembered as someone who was a bridge builder, who bridged communication between faculty and all other stakeholders in the district. I never, in my crystal ball, never would have predicted I was running for a political office, and I am doing so because I really believe strongly in the district and in my service to the students and the people that work there. And so that's why I'm running, to continue that service. One of the real treats that I've had in this running for office has been reconnecting with so many of my students who have been emailing me, like, I saw your sign, and they share such wonderful stories and memories of our time together. And so I think for me, what I hope my legacy is that I, in my heart, wanted to give everything I could to the district and the people that work there, especially the students. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Gray?
I can't really think of a question that you didn't ask. I think we provided a great deal of information. One thing that maybe I would like to share that people don't know is that community colleges are the place to be. I feel like we are an unsung hero of the state of California. You may not know it, but the community colleges are funded the lowest per pupil of every single type of education. That includes K-12 and the 2 higher eds. So, and yet with less money, we do more. We are in a fortunate position at West Valley Mission because we are a basic aid district, so we have some surplus. And that's been alluded to some, but that surplus largely is allocated to the many good works that we are doing, both for our faculty that has gotten wonderful pay raises and far in excess of the cost of living increases that the state allows. So we do our best to make it possible for for faculty to join us and make a career at West Valley Mission. And we still hope that we can spend some millions and millions of dollars for housing. And so we've got money set aside for that. So we want you to come and see both of our campuses. Come see West Valley and Mission. They won't be like you saw them last if you haven't been for a while.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Bernald.
Thank you. I'm going to do a little bit of two answers. I think it's important to know that we have a board reserve set at 17% of the whole cost, at $34 million, almost 35. It's 2 to 3 months of cost of doing business. And given the fact that we have had downturns, we have had problems with student attending all of this, we came to recognize that based on the past needs challenges, we need to keep that reserve up. And finally, since I have a few minutes left to talk about, I would like to share with you my endorsements, and this comes from years of community service. I have the endorsement of Anna Eshu, Santa Clara Supervisor Joe Simidian, former Santa Cruz Commissioner John Leopold, excuse me, all of the mission trustees, the 28 current and former Great Bay Area Central Coast mayors, the Jewish Democratic Coalition, the Monterey Santa Cruz Building and Construction Trades, and BAMAC. And I also would like to have you please, if you have any more questions, look at my website at Mary Lynn, that's MARY-LYNNE, the number 4, WVMCCD5.com.
Thank you. Candidates, I really want to thank you for participating in this candidate forum tonight. I am eager to go over to West Valley College and see all the wonderful things that are there and visit Mission College, which I haven't visited in the past, but I'm eager to do so. And I'm now going to return this to
I think Ms. Lampkin needs to a chance to answer the last question.
Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Ms. Lampkin.
No,
sorry.
Thank you.
Shall I repeat the question for you? Shall I repeat the question for you?
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so this last question or closing statement is, what question do you wish we had asked you tonight? Why? And how would you have responded to it?
Well, I think it would be similar to what Rebecca said is, why am I running for this position? I mean, I have a lot of other things going in, all of us do. But I think that one of the things that I found as a teacher who's in the science program, I taught human anatomy and physiology for my whole career at Mission College, at Palmer College of Chiropractic. And that involves a lot of lab classes. And I see people who are making decisions about what goes on in the classroom and the labs, who especially not had those labs, not had chemistry lab, organic chemistry lab, general chemistry lab, physiology lab, biology lab, and how important it is to have the smaller class sizes in the lab. When you have 36 microscopes and 36 people trying to focus those microscopes and identify tissues, it's hard. I think we need to, when we talk about class sizes, we need to think about that a lot. And I know I really enjoyed my students. That was the best part of teaching. They were great. They went, I run into them when I'm in the hospital for some reason. I see my former students who are nurses, come walking down the hall and I'm trying to hide, but but I'm so proud of them. But I know it's difficult. Laboratory courses are hard and they can be very frustrating, and they're just as, and challenging as any other course of study. So.
Thank you very much. And again, I apologize for almost leaving you out there. And
now
I will return this forum to Frances Jean, our Vice President of the League, who will close the forum for us.
Thank you, Eleanor. Candidates, thank you very much for participating tonight. We wish you well in your campaign and greatly respect your candidacy for this very important office. And audience members, thank you for joining us. We hope you have learned a lot tonight that will help you to make your decision when voting. And in closing, I wanted to leave you with a few important election reminders. Priya, could we have our slides back up on slide 10? Once again, yeah, the election day is November 5th, so please remember to vote on or before November 5th. And remember to use Vote 411 for all your election questions. And next slide, please. There are some more nonpartisan sites that you can go to find reliable election information listed here for you. And next, and as we always say at the League, democracy is not a spectator sport. So remember to vote and please join us. You can join us as a member. There's our website listed here. So you're welcome to join us as a member if you're interested in more of our programs. And lastly, this forum was recorded and will be posted in full, unedited on our League's website and YouTube channel. So thank you everyone again, and good night.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.